What's up, everyone? Long time no see. I wanted to do another video because I just finished reading this book. We are not smoking this video because I have food poisoning. Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell. I'm super pale right now. Like, I'm as blue as my hat. Yeah, food poisoning is no fucking joke. I never realized how bad it was because I've never had it before, but I got it because I ate some salmon, and I think it's the salmon that I ate from my work. And I work at a restaurant, so that's pretty bad. But yeah, I haven't eaten. Well, we don't have to get into that, but Jesus Christ, food poisoning is no fucking joke, not for the weak. But because of this, I have had the opportunity to catch up on some reading. Yay! So, I finished this book that we're going to talk about today. Instead of a cigarette, we have literature. It's The Dispossessed by Ursula Guin. In my head, she is a speculative fiction, feminist, philosophy, political commentary author. But, I'm sure these words get thrown around a bunch. And I don't know if you can tell we're in a new setting. This is my mom's backyard. It's very beautiful. She's got a gorgeous backyard. And I know last time I was like, oh, should I be like showing all my residencies, my many residencies? That was sarcasm, on YouTube, but I just don't care. So yeah, we're talking about The Dispossessed today. And then maybe after I'll like force feed myself a piece of toast and then vomit it all up. Yeah. So if anyone has heard of Ursula Le Guin before, you know that she has many works of fiction published, short stories, speeches, all the sorts. Very interesting person. Parents are very interesting. Just like an all-around cool person. She's living in Portland, Oregon, or at least that's what the book says. So you know that she's cultured. And I have read another one of her novels before. I didn't actually realize I was reading the same author until I was talking to a friend about this book, and they started describing The Left Hand of Darkness. And I was like, oh shit, I've read that book. But that one explores gender and the abolition of gender and the fluctuation of gender. So if you're interested in that, go for it. But this one is about this physicist who's from this anarchist planet that was settled by these anarchists who wanted to leave their previous planet, which was a more capitalist and, exploitative, corrupt planet, and go into outer space and go settle on the moon and start up a whole civilization. But the moon is really dry and dusty, and there's a word that starts with A that describes this really well. Whatever. It's not very easy to inhabit this new planet. The climate is very harsh. But because there's so much solidarity and mutual aid with these settlers, they figure it out. And they've lived there for about 170 years. And this physicist, he's got all these ideas and he wants to share his ideas, but this planet has really no use for his ideas. What is useful for the social organism? What is going to help society survive in this really... Is it ardent? No, that's not the word. Errant? No. Whatever. I used this word so much in a paper last year. Okay, it doesn't matter. So yeah, this planet is like, okay, great. Like, can you go do some labor over there? Like, can you be a farmer or something? Like, fuck are we gonna do with your physics? So he's just like, all right, I'm gonna go to this capitalist planet called Eurus. And his planet, the anarchist planet, is Anaris. I'm going to go to Eurus and I'm going to share with them, the physicists there, my ideas because they seem more receptive. And the timeline, I like this book because I like stories that play with time. This one chapter is the Anaris plot, which is set in more in the past, and then the Eurus plot, which is more in the future. And it goes chapter to chapter until they meet in the middle, which is really lovely to see. So you see his journey of, his ideas unfolding, people rejecting them on Anaris, and how he ends up going to Eurus. And at the same time, you're seeing what it's like on Eurus. Is he succeeding in his mission to share these ideas? I won't spoil it, but it doesn't go the way he wanted it to. It does not. So I thought I would just talk about some things that this book made me think about in my, from my experiences and other literature that I've read. And my dog is this is my mom's dog. Care Bear! He's a weird looking dog. Oh. Yeah. So the first thing that I thought about is, wow, this is so refreshing to be reading speculative fiction that is speculating on economic systems that aren't capitalism, and speculating on utopianism or utopia or anarchism that isn't naive. So I thought that was really and then look what else we've got. We got Percy, my mommy's cat, my mommy's Maine Coon. I think all the animals are slowly gonna roll out. There's a lot. And I just also I think of the importance of fiction in expanding our imaginations, expanding our, the realm of possibilities of what we're able to do. If you can't imagine it, then how can you create it? So it's through fiction that we're able to really play with world building and play with what could be. I think of Donna Haraway, and I think of her Camille stories, which are about resettling decayed lands that have just been ruined ecologically, just destroyed by climate change, destroyed by human activity, the anthropomorphism. In the Camille stories, it shows generation by generation how these people who move to these really hurt lands and decide to rehabilitate them inherit the stories of those lands and use the history of what's happened there to create something new. And it's just so creative. So I don't know if Donna Haraway and Ursula Le Guin ever kikied, but they both definitely make me feel the same way in regards to the power of fiction. Let's think about myself and how I was affected by fiction. Fiction had a huge role on my childhood, on who I am today. I kind of grew up in a broken household, parents were so I use fiction a lot as escapism, a lot of fantasy. Rick Riordan was my guy. Percy Jackson, reading Annabeth Chase's character and her strength, I admired that a lot, and I tried to take on traits from her. I tried to take on traits from a lot of strong female fantasy characters that I've read growing up, and there was a lot of them. I was a really big fantasy nerd. And I think that, dismissing fiction as just a childish genre for children to read and not as something that can be used as a tool for real change and real possibility exploring world building is it's a shame. And fiction should be given the respect it deserves, because it is really huge in seeing change. What else? They also talk a lot about some debates that we have here in leftist spaces, can anarchism be achieved through violence, or if you want just and peace at the end, you have to use means of just and peace in the beginning, kind of like what Martin Luther King Jr. always said. I don't know exactly what he said, but he had, and a lot of people were pacifist, nonviolent, blah, 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 in their protesting. And then there was the more aggressive leftists like Malcolm X and what were the John Africa and I forget what was it called? Move. They were definitely not pacifists and stuff, and they both have their philosophies and their reasonings, and both have truth to them. Like, how can you peacefully protest against a state that will only respond in violence? You know, you got to meet fire with fire. But then there's also, you know, how can you hope to create change by using some other philosopher said this, you can't dismantle the house of the slave owner using the tools of the slave owner. You know, I need to stop pretending like I know what I'm talking about, because I don't. But I think you guys know what I mean. So that was one thing that was discussed in the book, and I really thought that was cool. Personally, I do believe that change has to, you know, be a little violent, unfortunately. It's not that violence was, you know, something that is wanted, but when you're put in a position where the enemy or the other is using violence against you, especially to the degree of the state, the US state, what choice do you have other than be destroyed? Another thing that they talk about is what is beneficial to society, what is beneficial to the social organism, they like to call it. I like that too. You know, I think about right now, like space travel and space science and like SpaceX and stuff like that. And there's so much money being funneled into these studies, which I'm sure is very interesting for the scientists that are doing it. But it just feels super out of touch, because while they're trying to go explore Mars and explore Uranus, like, people are here suffering and hurting and could be really using that money, that attention, etc., etc. So this was something that was a big deal towards the end of the book, where it shows, or when they're talking about, okay, now, and our main character's name is Shivek, the physicist Shivek. Shivek wants to go to Uranus and share his physics, and everyone's like, you know, you're hurting the social organism by making this all about you and your interests and what you want to do. And I think that's definitely food for thought. The individual does have the right to explore whatever they want on an anarchist planet, but at the same time, what they want is assumed to be to help the whole, to help everybody, to be in solidarity. So that definitely had me thinking a lot too, because I face a lot of guilt about my interests taking up a lot of time that I could be using that time for social organizing or mutual aid or food distribution or whatever. Like, I like to pole dance. While I'm shaking my ass on the pole, I could have been down at Food Not Bombs distributing some food. So I also, like, it's a very real thing to struggle with, you know, your own joy and your own passion, and also just keeping the collective afloat. So that was another thing. I wanted to read some quotes, because I mean, just speaking on her writing itself, it's just insane. Her prose is insane. Like, I used to think that I could be a writer. After reading this, there's no way. She's just insane. So, here's a line. They're talking about just the planet they're on, you know, the ecology. There's a connection, but I don't know what it is. It's not casual. About the time sex began to go sour on me, so did the work, increasingly. 3 years without getting anywhere. I can never pronounce this word. sterility on all sides. Oh my god, you guys, I'm nervous. As far as the eye can see, the infertile desert lies in the pitiless glare of the merciless sun, a lifeless, trackless, feckless, fuckless waste strewn with the bones of luckless wayfarers. Ooh! God damn! Snaps for that. Snaps. That was a great line. Like, that is insane. What's another line we could read? Oh, what's another thing I have? I also really like the way that labor is divided on Anaris. I remember reading Marx, like, back my freshman year of college and being like, does he mean that, like, I could be a bus driver for, like, 3 days out of the week for 3 hours and that's it? And then the next week I could, like, be a mechanic and, like, learn that. And then the next week I could be a dentist and, like... And it kind of seems like that is the vibe on Anaris, and I really enjoyed reading about that and like how that worked, the problems they had with it, you know, the postings, how people were scared to reject the postings even though it was kind of like allowed. You're allowed to do whatever the fuck you want. So this is a quote from their version of Marx, or like their like hero, martyr, revolutionary who, you know, inspired the revolution that made them go settle on this other planet, whose name is Otto. So Otto says, a child free from the guilt of ownership and the burden of economic competition will grow up with the will to do what needs doing and the capacity for joy in doing it. It is useless work that darkens the heart. The delight of the nursing mother, of the scholar, of the successful hunter, of the good cook, of the skillful maker, of anyone doing needed work, and doing it well. This durable joy is perhaps the deepest source of human affection and of sociality as a whole. I really resonate with that, because why are we having people do useless fucking work? Like these managerial roles, these professional managerial class type of jobs, it's useless fucking work. And there's no gratification that comes out of it. There's so many jobs like this too that aren't even as well paying. And you know, this just goes back to the whole division of labor and the reification of labor, and how the separation from what we make and reaping the benefits of it just hurts our well-being and our psyche, and, you know, being so divided from work and the consequences of the work, the fruits of your labor, is just painful. I mean, this is like Marxism 101, but I just thought that was a really wonderful quote. And another one that I really liked, I don't know if I'm doing too well at this, but whatever, is Chevek's speech at the protest. So on Eurus, the capitalist planet, the government is just really having a crackdown on the working class. They're imposing, you know, just shitty stuff. I think, like, what? Just inflation, shit work conditions. You know, they're just being exploited. The same shit you see all around you here. And so they have this huge protest. They say like 100,000 people flood the square, and they want Chevek, who is this like figure of hope and of change and of possibility, to go up and give a speech. This is what he says, and it mirrors something he said in the beginning of the book when he was just 10 years old. It is our suffering that brings us together. It is not love. Love does not obey the mind and turns to hate when forced. The bond that binds us is beyond choice. We are brothers. We are brothers in what we share, in pain, which each of us must suffer alone, in hunger, in poverty, in hope. We know our brotherhood. We know it because we have had to learn it. We know that there is no help for us but one another, that no hand will save us if we do not reach out our hand, and the hand that you reach out is empty, as is mine. You have nothing. You possess nothing. You own nothing. You are free. All you have is what you are and what you give. That ate. I'm afraid that ate. And I think that really ties into what the book starts off with, which is the symbol and the metaphor of the wall. the wall that divides the port between the planets, the walls that we put up within ourselves against other people. And the opposite of the wall is vulnerability. It's an openness to be changed, an openness to have other people affect you, and also you affect other people. God, there's a word for it. Why am I forgetting all these words? It's like transmutability, but there's a better word for it. Receptive. You're receptive. You're But basically, I think this book is talking about, one of the things this book is really talking about under just the layers and layers of political commentary and social commentary is, I guess this is social commentary too, that a revolution is never ending, whether that is as a collective or on an individual level, and to deny either one of them is to deny true freedom. And what it means to be constantly being self-revolutionary and collectively revolutionary is to be open to change, is to be open to, letting down the boundaries that protect all your beliefs and your values, and be open to having those be affected by other people who maybe hold different values and different beliefs than you and different ideas, and not, meeting them with in a defensive way, but meeting them with open arms and curiosity, and being curious about what else is there out there. Is this, where I end? No. Ursula Le Guin would say, no, we are never ending. We are always evolving. And oh, someone's here. Well, anyways, I think that's where I'm going to end this video.